We are
Hey.
live. Welcome everyone to the Neo Gaia Fantasy virtual desktop experience. I am James Webster, aka HCMJ, proud member of Dynamic Shroud.
I'm Tech. I'm also a proud member of Dynamic Shroud.
I'm Kevin. I am Equip.
And I'm Mark, aka R23X, aka VHS Stills.
But what are you guys proud members of?
Neo Gaia Fantasy.
Yeah,
The
this.
Dynamic Shroud fan club.
I was going to suggest the Revolution, but that's cool too.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm,
Got it.
mm-hmm. So it's a little unfortunate that we weren't streaming last night because, man, oh man, in our little group chat that we have, we had a lot of really great content flowing. So we'll revisit some of that. Lots of stuff about pixels. Kevin, earlier, while I was setting everything up and we were in the Skype call, Kevin's all fired up about...
He is in a mood. He's in
about,
rare form.
He's into trolling me about 3D Zelda right now.
I've always been about that.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So first, I'd just like to say a few things about this week's virtual desktop. So this one was one that I wanted to do. This is the Next Step operating system, which, without going too deep into its history, basically Steve Jobs founded Apple, as we all know, created the Apple I with Steve Wozniak, and then the Apple II, and then eventually purchased the GUI from the Palo Alto Research Center from Xerox and turned that into the Macintosh operating system, which is now retrospectively referred to as Mac Classic. Eventually, Steve Jobs gets fired from his own company when he brings in Pepsi's former CEO to come in to be his CEO, and then he gets fired, and then he founds Next Step. And then Next Step, they were making high-end workstations for like research institutes and things like that. It was a Unix-based system, and it was one of those funny, sort of ironic things because eventually Mac Classic became horribly broken. Anyone who had to use Mac OS 9 knows the sad fate of that operating system, and that was still based on this ancient 80s operating system that was Mac Classic. And so Apple was ready to tear everything down and start from scratch, and they were looking at different companies to acquire to base a new operating system on. They were looking at BOS and Next Step. So hilariously, they bought Next Step from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs came back to Apple. Next Step became the operating system base for eventually OS 10.0. And that is now all Macintoshes at their heart are still running basically the bare bones of this Next Step Unix-based workstation software. So down here you can see the rumblings of the dock at the bottom of the screen, and on the right we can see the really, really awesome the Next Step logo. I fucking love the Next Step logo. I think it is just one of the coolest... Oh yeah, I forgot the cursor, yeah. One of the coolest, just most 90s. It reminds me of the Sega Welcome to the Next Level, you know, the thing that they had in the 90s for anyone who remembers. Anyway, so yeah, that's what this is. And behind us here we have the Digital Webster, which
That's
was...
you.
Yeah, that's me. But that was also the dictionary software that came built in to the environment, which was pretty cool. So anyway, I could do an entire podcast about the history of Next Step, Apple, and OS 10, but I will spare everyone that for
Did
now.
it come with
We
chess?
want to hold on to our viewership today, so...
Yes, and so, Tech, to answer your question, it did in fact come with chess, and anyone who remembers OS 10, when it first came out, chess was what it came with. And I always thought that was their way of saying, like, oh, Windows users like solitaire, but Mac users want to play chess. There's some, like smug shit like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was the Next Step version of chess that the OS 10 version was based on. And here you can see we have the Neo Gaia app down here. We can only use our imagination to figure out what that is. Our Skype window is in the VGA console because this was something that was used in, like, they would use Next Step workstations in, like, in video editing labs and things like that. So you could get a live VGA console feed and actually do non-linear editing on these workstations in like the early 90s, which is pretty badass. And Mark obviously instantly fell in love with this VGA icon down here, which
It's beautiful.
The coolest.
Really.
I want to make an enamel pin of exactly that icon, and I probably will do that.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and if you happen to make one with the next logo, I would
make
love that
every
as
icon
well.
here.
Yeah, I definitely got a bootleg Next sticker that I put on my on the back of my backpack. I have one of those backpacks you can put stickers on, you know. So yeah, that's on.
Oh yeah,
that's on there.
Oh, man.
But I'll go ahead and turn the floor over to you. Sometimes I just talk and I just keep talking. I've been more aware of it recently. I
want to know the rest of the story.
I just never shut the fuck up. Well, I'm sure, you know, Mark and Kevin would love to tell you about what a piece of shit Steve Jobs was, and he was. He definitely was. You know, he abandoned his family, and, you know, just like all those white male motherfuckers from the 20th century.
He made so much cool shit, though.
He did. And I think that a lot of people that thought that they would never have to deal with the whole separating art from the artist thing are having to deal with that right now, because J.K. Rowling's such a turf piece of shit. I was joking about this actually just the other day, because I was like, yeah, you know, it's like it was easy to cancel like what's his name, Woody Allen, because like I don't know, like whatever. Yeah. I don't want to watch Woody Allen movies. Fuck that shit, you know. So I can be like, yeah, Woody Allen's canceled. I don't want to watch his movies. But I think that there are a lot of people out there that really love Harry Potter that are now asking themselves some real tough questions. Now, I only like the movies, and Daniel Radcliffe is like super cool. So
how about like Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin? Those bands were made out of entirely shitty humans.
Well,
you know,
so they
did terrible things, probably on and off camera. Probably so much more off camera.
And it gets a little trickier when the like creation of the product itself is the result of some sort of heinous act, you know. So like what Led Zeppelin did, and who they pillaged and what they did. Makes it harder to enjoy that music, because the music itself is like the result of this sort of gross process. But
the music itself is also stolen.
Right, yeah. But But Harry Potter was just written by an asshole, so it's like Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Great start.
Hi, Randochi and Quentin and Precari Online and Earth Energy Grid.
It's wonderful to see everybody lighting up the chat right now. Thank you so much. You're all beautiful. We love seeing you week after week come in here and just listen to us bullshit about whatever flows into our brain. So Kevin, you had a stream the other day. You were playing Katamari.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Yeah, I busted out the modded Xbox 360 and played some beautiful Katamari, which I thought would be like a really relaxing game to play, but my dumbass couldn't get past the third level.
Well, it has that alarm the whole every single time it gets close to the running out of time. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. I feel like that game over all of the other ones has like the strictest time limits, because I kind of got. I went through a Katamari renaissance when Katamari Reroll came out. That's the remake of the very first one for Switch. And I bought all of the other games in the series that I never played. And yeah, out of all of them, that 361, it's like they give you just the bare minimum amount of time to get the levels done, and then you have that horrible alarm. It's it's pretty savage.
Yeah, someone brought that up in the while you were streaming about the Zelda alarm. There's nothing like when you mentioned when you're fighting a boss. There's nothing worse than
like
that.
a heart and a half.
It's like the Sonic underwater thing. Exactly. Ugh, too much.
Yeah.
Hello, CLD, calling out the next step. Yeah, you'll have to rewatch this after to hear my diatribe about the next step. What it's all about. A couple people reporting that
somebody will clip it.
Video frozen.
People are saying
it seems it's working on my phone. Can everyone?
Everything seems fine on my computer. Yeah.
Yeah, I always check it on here, so I think we're good. It seems like it's wrong. That's good.
Okay.
Okay, it's
All right.
fine now. Quentin says it's fine now. Thank you.
Okay.
Quentin QQ. So, Mark, do you have any updates for us? What have you been up to the last week?
Not much really. Just been working away at several different things, including this hat I'm wearing. I recently released this hat. Sorry, I was just tweeting. I was just tweeting about this stream, so I didn't. I was like, oh, I heard my name. Now I'm back in here. So
is that a new hat? Because that's a classic design. But is that like the first time it's ever been in black? Or
it's the first. It's the first time this hat has ever existed in this form. It's my logo, RGB roses. I didn't mean to turn this into a plug for merchandise. I'm sorry, I just got caught off guard there.
Well, that's
totally allowed here.
That's one of the reasons that we're here is the plug our bullshit, just like anyone else. But in a fun and creative way.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out to Adam of 100% Electronica, Adam Kane. He mailed both Mark and I Coco Ichibanya t-shirts that he got from the LA location, Coco. And let me show you the back.
He actually went.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get mine. I'm so jealous.
What a hero.
It's
a
being
little
cut
green
out a little bit. Turn off your background effect and try it.
It's okay.
Yeah. I'm sure you get the point. It's the company logo.
Thanks so much,
We're just
Adam.
shilling corporate fast food at this point.
It's the best food ever.
Hey, but that's what you get when you have a vegan option. You get the Neo Gaia vegan crusaders on your side. And that's,
Speaking of Coco Ichibanya, I did impulse in our chat. We were constantly sharing things on eBay as well, and I did impulse purchase some merch from eBay.
See it.
I don't know if you can. Wait, this is one of the boxes. This is a tiny box. They've got a.
You're all green.
The new rule is if you're going to show something, you have to turn off your background effects.
Yeah.
Oh.
And okay. I'm seeing good smell. Purchase GUI in the chat. Can we get good smells in the chat, please?
Yeah.
Can we get good smells?
Good smells in the chat.
For those of you that don't know, that is like the company logo of Coco Ichibanya's. Good smell, good curry.
And it's 100% true.
Wait, what is that?
This is every once in a while Coco Ichibanya. I mean, not every once in a while. It seems like constantly they are doing brand collaborations, and this is their latest brand collaboration with Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it's like
literally, what is it?
It's a tiny scooter. They deliver curry on these scooters in addition to the trucks.
As we all
trucks
the famous truck.
But if you're in a condensed urban area, they'll use a scooter. So they've got one scooter for every different model of Ava. So here's the famous classic colorway that everyone knows and loves.
01, Ava 01.
Holy shit.
01.
Wow.
Shinji, get in the scooter or whatever. Yeah.
Shinji, go deliver these 15 curry orders.
Yeah. I've got 2 more to show you here.
Oh, shit.
That Nerve logo is extremely beautiful.
Yeah. So you'll notice on the back there's the Nerve logo, but then on the other side it's the Coco logo.
Oh, in Nerve red, that is sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
It really is sick. Cool. And it also has some kind of mechanical function, so you can zip it along on your desk or on your table, which is nice.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George. You're a really great man.
You're the best. We love you.
George is a great man. He makes great music. He writes a lot of anthems. I would say pop anthems that are right now defining a generation in real time. So thank you, George.
Word on the street is that he never stops working. He doesn't even sleep.
Yeah, G's in the chat for George, because that's very true. He does not stop, no matter what.
Thank you, George. Here's the last one.
I do really think that, George, so you can just back off.
Wow. No mass-produced Ava scooter with hideous, gruesome teeth or anything?
I think the angel ones are coming out next month. I'm not sure.
Wow.
That would be so sweet.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, here, you guys talk. I need to grab something from downstairs, but I want to show you something really cool.
Here's the whole fleet.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'm genuinely unboxing these for the first time. I saved them for this stream.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you, Mark.
Yeah.
That's
they
amazing.
should have like an Asuka one.
Oh, that's this one.
That's that one? Okay. Sorry, it didn't show up as that to me.
It's red, but it's looking kind of orange.
It looks
here.
a little
It's orange. Yeah.
It's just the light. It's definitely red.
Okay.
It's so cool.
I'll tweet high-res pictures of these.
Please. What do you got for us, James?
You just reminded me of a keychain that I've had for many, many years now. This is probably the longest I've gone with a single keychain without finding anything else better. Well, here, let me turn off my background effect. Let me be my own worst enemy. Yeah, Tech gets it. Alright, so I'll turn that off real quick. As you can see, I got this really sick.
Wow.
I can focus on it here.
Cool.
Pretty dope.
I need it to
Love it.
focus. Well, you get the picture, but it's made out of like cast metal, so it's like real, like kind of heavy and solid, and it just kind of dangles, and it's it's pretty cool.
Oh, you
keychain.
actually have it on your keys. Look at you.
Yeah. This is my keychain. It is a Evangelion keychain. So
Beautiful.
So now, why don't we go around? So Tech, you're still rocking the shrimp crown, and
I am,
and that's cool. A couple new backgrounds here. Mark, I think that your background is a great chance for you to plug some of your music, and actually, while you talk about that, I'll go ahead and pull some up.
Oh, this is. I mean, maybe I've already talked about it before, but this is the cover for my 2016 album Beltall. You can sort of see it. I'll just disappear.
I just listened to that for the first time this week because I've listened to like a bunch of your EPs on Spotify, but I've never actually listened to that album before.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you like it? You don't have to
No.
answer that line.
Yeah, of course.
Molo360 in the
Of course, you're my
chat.
friend. Of course, I'll tell you I liked it.
Yeah, I'm live right now, dude. What do you think?
Molo360 in the chat calling for a Neo Gaia keychain, and wow. Can you imagine how sick that would be?
Oh.
I certainly
Do
can.
that.
That is a great idea.
Kevin, it looks like you're in Cloud City.
Yeah, I'm actually floating on a Tabina mine, a little bit off a couple miles from Cloud City. So if you don't know this, Lando Calrissian inherited several Tabina mines in a card game, I think, and Cloud City is just kind of like a giant mining hub.
Now,
I can't remember what Tabina gas is used for in the Star Wars universe, but it's important.
is this old extended universe and no longer canon?
I think it's still canon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wait, what is it called? Tabina mine?
Tabina gas.
Oh.
So like
It's-
you can kind of see
Oh, it's
one,
a Tabina mine, right?
over here. It's weird because I'm like reversed.
No, it's cool. I can
It's-
point at it.
But
I
then
think
that's-
it's
then
a.
that's
it's
Cloud
a-
City.
It's a subsidiary of the company that Steve Jobs formed after he left Pixar before he joined Mac.
After he abandoned his daughter.
after he emotionally abused his daughter for a decade.
And emotional abuse is not funny, but it is funny to punch up at people like Steve Jobs. Murder your darlings, you know.
I'm
Blah,
gonna
blah, blah.
smash all my Apple products right here, right now,
Yeah.
Well, you know,
live on stream.
yeah.
Starting with my iPhone, we're gonna just.
So last week I went on a very long borderline rant about the current political situation, so I'll spare everybody from that this week, but I would just like to say that we've only just begun. The fighting continues, the protesting continues, the suppression of human rights continues, so everyone has been, I feel like Twitter has been a more positive place, and people are starting to be more engaged, and it's being less about like the petty Twitter bullshit and more about civil liberties and respecting human life. So I there's been a lot of positive change last week. So yeah, just hopefully that continues. Just it's not like it wasn't just a moment that's passed. So just keep
Glad
up.
to hear it.
Yeah, keep up the good fight. Keep up the good fight.
Also, big thanks to everybody who donated last week.
Huge thanks.
We ended up being able to donate $700 to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which rules. Largely entirely because of your donations.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
And also,
huge shout out to George too.
Sorry for we weren't getting some of the notifications to pop up for your guys' donations, which was a bummer. But thank you nonetheless. So,
did you see George and Adam and Lindsay were able to get like $7,000 the next day? Because George matched all the donations, which is super generous, of course.
Yeah, really, really incredible shit going down. So, hey, we're just trying to put our money where our mouth is. We're not, full of shit, but we are the least important thing happening right now. So, we're just a part of it. So yeah, thank you everyone for your continued support of those wonderful causes.
Hey, you know what's weird? Is not going to work and making music your work.
Yeah, so Tech, this is your first week. How's that been going for you?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really weird. My sleeping schedule's all fucked up.
Yeah.
Because it's like you don't really, like you're not like stressing out because of work, so you're not like all mentally exhausted or anything. So then, like, when you go to bed, because you feel like you should go to bed at, like, whatever, 1 or 2, then, like, I'll, like, wake up naturally at, like, 7 a.m., which is even early. Yeah, it's cool, but, like, it's like, earlier than I would wake up when I was working at my, like, regular job. Because, like, I'm not as tired as I normally would be.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's kind of fucked up. And then just trying to, like, figure out how to like allocate your time properly.
I'm still
really
figuring
weird.
that one out.
Yeah. Well, I did like taxes and accounting the first 2 days, which sucked.
And you ran out of taxes to do.
Yeah, then I ran out of taxes to do, and then now it's just like, but I.
There's the concept of like, oh fuck, I'm out of taxes.
Oh no.
Damn it.
Did all of them, every single tax.
I did, however, start working on a Death Dynamic Shroud project. We've already begun work on a new album, so it's something a little bit different.
Yeah, the new album was a little bit delayed by once COVID-19 hit, because there were a lot of plans, a lot of plans that involved traveling and concerts and things like that, and
they all got really fucked up.
Yeah, so both of those things aren't allowed right now, and we all had to kind of pivot to some other shit. But rest assured, the reason why there's no new DDS yet is because it's not something that we can just like work on constantly all the time, because it's the kind of thing where you really need to be there mentally and spiritually and
sometimes physically
or physically also. Yeah. So after the whole I'll Try Living Like This classroom sex tape, once everything sort of got bigger and bigger and bigger, it's like, well, we can't just like pump it out anymore. So it will come, we promise, and it will be beautiful. But
there'll be a bunch of other stuff too.
Some stuff that you might not even consider or think about.
I want to know more.
I would just go ahead.
I was just gonna say GC MT Color said, so you guys are a band, and that's correct. Lil Liam answered, we are in sync.
We are. We are a band, and Mark and Kevin work on things together.
We got some secret bangers in the mix, in the works.
I think definitely someday there's gonna
Sure
be
do.
like all four of us need to do an album together. You know what I mean? Just like a
Yeah.
Neo
Yeah.
Gaia the band. You know?
The Neo Gaia Fantasy
It's
Sessions.
gonna happen.
All right. So what do we all play in the band? So I can play guitar and I can sing and I can play keyboard. I'm a bad drummer, but if no one else can do it, then I can do it.
So all the instruments. That's cool. You got it, I guess.
I'm just saying. Like,
I'll just sit and eat pizza and watch.
Kevin plays guitar. Kevin can play keyboards. Kevin can run grids.
Can rock a bass too.
Oh, you play bass?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
If you can play guitar, you can play bass.
That's
Right.
I mean,
So-
I can play rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
like,
yeah. Mark, I've
Mark
seen
can play a
picture-
saxophone.
I can play. Actually, I'll play this instrument for our band. It's called an iwi.
Iwi.
You guys know it?
Nope.
Yeah.
Electric wind instrument.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like it's got the same key structure as a clarinet or a saxophone kind of vibe, and it's a MIDI controller and a synthesizer, and it's
Whoa.
Wait, so it
I
has,
can play that.
So it has built-in hardware, like it actually.
it has a rubber mouthpiece, so it actually senses your embouchure and your
Oh,
your
shit.
wind and stuff like that. So
So cool.
yeah, it's I'll play that for our band. I'll watch like 30,000 YouTube videos on like learning the cowboy bebop
Don't,
theme on
don't
it,
put
and
it
then
away.
I'll come
What are
to
you
you.
doing? You have to play it right now.
No, the
the
problem
chat
is that
demands it.
I can't get it to work because my
Oh.
Ableton, I upgraded to Ableton 10 recently, and I updated my OS, and I literally can't figure it out
Lost
anymore.
everything, huh?
Aw.
Yeah, so it's gonna take me a while. I actually
Do it for the
bought
next
it-
stream.
I got it used
Yes.
because the batteries don't work. Like the batteries are corroded or something, so I use like a power cord, and I bought an Ableton project from like some cool. I'll try to find it and give him a shout out later in the episode. But like, I wanted to like have a really finely tuned use it project to use it for MIDI, and it turns out some guy just like on the internet. He's like, I think he's called like the Iwi guy or something. He sells like full projects like Logic Pro, Fruity Loops, Ableton.
Nice,
And
nice.
you just buy it through a PayPal donate button, and then he goes and checks his email and emails it to you. And he's like, 2 years ago or something when I bought this thing, he was like, hey, just got back from a gig and saw you bought the project file. Thanks, man. Cheers, and like sent me a zip file, and it's like but it doesn't work with the latest Ableton properly. Like it opens up fine, but yeah, I'm not making excuses. I'm just remembering how bummed I was about that specific thing not working. But
Wow.
I'll troubleshoot it. Yeah, I'll troubleshoot it. I'll try to find the guy and post a link. In fact, I think it's worth it for everyone to see.
Okay.
So,
I wouldn't play any instruments. I would just.
So you'd be the lead singer then.
Yeah.
You'd be
yeah,
like-
I would just. Yeah. Like.
Or just
Yeah.
like stare
Strut.
off into space, like Liam Gallagher when I'm fucking shredding, you know?
Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
I can play the cello.
Really?
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that.
Wait, you can pl-
Yeah.
I've
You
seen
play
it.
the cello?
I have a nice selfie of myself.
You
playing the cello.
look like a cellist.
Whoa, whoa.
Nice. Cellists are hot.
Yeah. Oh.
So, so Tech, you mentioned something, and I'm curious. I wanted to sort of expand on this. So you said that your sleep schedule got fucked up, and I remember when I first moved to Philadelphia, I had some savings and I didn't have to have a job. It was awesome,
Mhm.
but it was also shitty because I reverse cycled, and I know that this is something that Keith deals with a lot, where you end up staying up all night and then sleeping during the day. And I remembered it was just the most god awful experience. As soon as I heard the first bird, you know, at like 5:30,
Yeah.
and then like my heart would start racing, and it's like, no more birds, please, no more birds. And then you hear like 3 birds, and then the light in the room starts to get more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, are you a block out curtains guy, or do you
So get
embrace the cycles of the Earth?
So funny enough, Actually, I'm not. I'm like a super sensitive sleeper, so like the slightest bit of light will wake me up. So I wear a sleep mask. But my windows are bulletproof or whatever. They're not bulletproof. They're just no sound gets through. But the fucking fire alarm in my bedroom started beeping. Just where it does that little chirp thing where it's like beep. And
I hate that.
Yeah, and
you
then
need
it
to change the
like,
battery.
So yeah, okay, right. So I was like, it was like happening at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, fuck this. Like, I'll just like somehow try to sleep through this, and then I'll go get a battery at the store. So I did, and then I changed it, and it didn't alleviate anything. So now it just chirps every about 30 to 40 seconds, unless I press the button on it, which stops the chirping for 10 hours. And then it resumes the chirping again. So now I just have to press this button every fucking 10 hours. But like, I had to wake up at 3:30 in the morning last night because it started doing it.
Jesus.
Yeah,
So I'm in a very similar situation, but with my work, and this is what happened last stream, and it will probably happen again. Is that
where they called you?
Yeah, at the Japanese house where I work, we have an alarm company. Excuse me. And we have critters that live inside the Japanese house, like raccoons and possibly a little squirrel or something. They're always fucking running through the storage room and the kitchen. And when they set up...
Tanuki? Do you have a Tanuki problem?
I don't know. No raccoon dogs. But honestly, they're the size of dogs. They might as well be. So yeah, every day, around this time, I get a call. Hello, this is Fidelity Alarm calling, Kitchen Motion. And I have to be like, please put it on test for the next 12 hours. And they're like, okay.
That did happen last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was even worse because there was a power outage in the park because of a storm. And so there was, I was getting low battery calls. And they were just, like, every hour they were calling me. It was like, I took PTO, please let me be. But yes, the point is, every 12 hours I deal with something that makes me want to die. So that's it's really absurd, and it sucks because it's not 12 hours. Because if it was every 12 hours, I could just like it would be timed perfectly. I'd be like, oh, it's 2 p.m. I have to change it, 2 a.m. whatever. But no, it's off by 2 hours because it's only 10 hours. So it just goes on this like sometimes it's the middle of the night, sometimes it's not. So that's nice. I have that going. So, but you do block out the sun.
Yeah, I have some thick curtains, and I just wear a sleep mask as fuck, because I can't deal.
Yeah, ever since I moved into this place, I've really embraced the cycles of night and day. Like I just have blinds, so it kind of makes me not want to stay up super late, and then in the morning it's like, well, it's kind of time to wake up because the sun is shining, you know.
Don't you? I mean, like, how often do you go to bed super late though? Because I feel like it started like once, like I don't know, maybe like a couple of years ago. Once I was in like my 30s, then it was just like my body started being like, it's bedtime.
I go to bed about 2 or 3 a.m. every night, and then if I'm really into, like last night, I was really into building this last night, so I was up till 4, which
I only really stay up late if it's like if I'm working on something that feels like it's important that I not interrupt that like mental flow, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise it's like I'll try to get to bed by 1.
The birds in Philadelphia start chirping at about 1:30, 2 a.m. I don't know.
Didn't you had like a fucking nest like above your window when we lived together? You were like. You were like ready to like.
That was one of that was I was ready to reach in. They were nesting in a hole in the wall above my window frame, and I love animals, and I think that they're beautiful, but they were birds. And then they had babies, and they were like extremely loud in my face all the time. In fact, on the there's some fucking HCMJ track. Power Plant where I sampled them, like Cold Snap, I think, like at the end of Cold Snap, it's just these it was just like so fucking
someone
angry.
clip that, hurry.
Molo360 asking about my coffee. So this right now is Dunkin' Donuts Original Blends whole bean, because that is all that the grocery store across the street from my house sells in whole bean. If I get nice coffee, there's a really cool place in Philadelphia called Reanimator. I like their coffee. There's another really cool place in Philly called Ultimo. They have really good coffee. But honestly, I like light roasts. I like caffeine. I like the taste of black coffee in my mouth. And when it comes to just standard, regular, cheap, generic coffee, Dunkin' Donuts Original Blends just hits the spot.
So get this. I have like a little Mr. Coffee machine thing it sucks, and it really does suck because it's broken now because all of a sudden it just stopped working. So I had to buy a new one, but my sister got me this French press like a year ago or something, and so I was like, well, I have this. So I used my shitty ass whatever I buy, Folgers breakfast blend or something like that, which is just like barely cuts the mustard. But so I used that to make the French press coffee, and I was like,
that's rough, man.
Yeah, but get this. So like I drank it, and I was like, this kind of tastes better, I think, than the Mr. Coffee pot machine, right? And so, but then I was like, no, you're probably just being like, ooh, French press, ooh. But then, so I got the new Mr. Coffee in, and then I made some today, and it fucking sucks ass. The French press is way better. I was right.
Well,
so
it's a whole different.
It's
a whole different brewing process.
I don't know how.
Well, one thing about French press is you want it to be like the coarsest possible grind. So all the surface area, there's more surface area. Yeah,
so, nothing got through the French press. Like I was expecting to have grounds everywhere, but it was
even if it's a fine grind, it probably won't go. But just in terms of the brewing, like if you use a burr grinder to do an even coarse grind, you'll have a really flavorful coffee. Even if it's just whatever coffee, it's going to be more flavorful and strong at least than like whatever coffee machine you're using before. Because those
grind at 30 or something.
Yeah, just crank it to the coarse.
Basically, it's all about extraction, and there are lots of things that go into it, and the size of the grounds, but also the consistency of the size of the grounds. So that's why, because I used to be anti-snob about coffee and just think, it's coffee, whatever. And I was really behind on that because I love coffee. But yeah, burr grinders are a big deal because they give the most consistent size. So yeah, like at one point someone said, oh, well, if you're using an electric grinder to grind your beans and then doing a pour over, you might as well just do Mr. Coffee because the grounds are going to be inconsistent, and so you won't be able to truly control your extraction levels. And I'm not good at any of that shit, but there definitely is a difference when you get it all consistent and you find that perfect kind of RPG balance.
I think at the end of the day, I'm probably just still going to make the Mr. Coffee thing because it requires less effort, and coffee is mostly utilitarian beverage for me. But
at home,
that said,
I use an electric grinder and a Mr. Coffee because I drink like 3 pots of coffee a day. And fuck it,
Who cares?
I try to drink like nice coffee when I can. I drink dark matter usually, and I have a burr grinder and a electric, like a Bonavita kettle. And I use an AeroPress. But like if I'm out, then like all bets are off. I'll go to whatever gas station and get a cheap, shitty brew. It's like if I'm out of coffee, anything will do, and I'm not going to complain about it. And like also if I'm traveling, like I'm not going to be picky about it either. But like if I'm at home, if I'm in my kingdom, I try to get the nice stuff.
So my windows are open. Yeah, lots of bullets.
Get this though. So I've been since I quit my job, I'm like super anal retentive about how much money is being spent at all times, and I'm finding out how much my food costs per use in this big fancy Excel spreadsheet. That's mostly just for fun. I know you love Excel, Kevin. But anyway, I have determined, assuming that the serving size or whatever on the coffee is like what I use, which I think it is. Coffee is like 5 fucking cents per mug if you make it at home, which is
great.
I mean, I get going out to a coffee shop and like the experience and all that. I get it, but like, it's 5 cents, and if you use creamer, it's like 2 cents extra. So like
I don't know.
It's just blowing my mind.
Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts going out to the places really isn't worth it. it definitely is worth it to go to a place where a trained barista.
Yeah.
Like Ultima or something. Yeah, and it's just like
it's like watching a movie theater or whatever. It's the experience of the theater and the pop and all that stuff. But that said, it is just insane to me to be like, oh, I'll go get coffee at a place for, even if it was like $1.19 or something.
Tech, you should write an article. You should write an article about how all millennials could actually be homeowners if they stopped going out for.
Yeah.
So a couple.
It's called a think piece, actually.
A couple notes from the chat right now. Utilitarian Beverage has been suggested as the next DDS album title. There is already a title for it, but maybe we'll come back to that. Lil Liam's calling out that yes, the new Gridania Carpenters Guild is behind me. I just recently got my GF into Final Fantasy XIV, which has been exquisite. To play Final Fantasy XIV with a significant other has been a truly beautiful and exciting and fun experience, because it's like, it's like...
dog?
What is the fuck?
Oh, no, they're just fireworks. Yeah, it's actually been really cool. Like, for the last 2 weeks, the night has been filled with the sound of police helicopters and fireworks. Just people.
The rocket's red glare.
Rocket's red glare. Yeah. So I restarted. So I played Final Fantasy XIV, pretty intensely a number of years ago, all the way through Stormblood. Basically, I never finished the Stormblood expansion. Heavensward is like one of the sickest Final Fantasy stories of all time. Love that expansion, love the story, love the game. But when I started again, because she was starting from nothing, I went back to my old Legacy character. So I actually played Final Fantasy XIV in 1.0, which, I mean, it's the thing I could do a whole podcast about the history of Final Fantasy XIV, because it's one of the most insane things that ever happens in gaming. But long story short, they made Final Fantasy XIV, and the people that made it were the same people that made Final Fantasy XI, which was a big success, but it was from 2002, and they didn't realize that World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and all of these games had come out since Final Fantasy XI, and they thought that they could just, as if Final Fantasy XI was the only MMO, and then they were going to make a new MMO based on that, ignoring everything else that had developed since then. And so Final Fantasy XIV was unfinished, unpolished, very difficult to play. I loved it because it was...
I remember getting a lot of flack when it first dropped. I remember thinking oh my god, I can't believe it's actually out now. Final Fantasy XIV, the new installment, and like nobody was really talking about it. It was getting panned by some people, and it just seemed really strange and uncharacteristic for a game in the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah, it almost killed the series, and Hiramichi Tanaka, who was the producer, he was the guy who made Final Fantasy XI, he basically had to... I mean, it was like professional seppuku. It was this whole huge apology from Square Enix. They made the game free to play. They sent out all of these apologies, and they were like, please be patient with us as we try to improve this game. He was axed. He's now a consultant for some online, some really sad, just disappeared. Despite having been the guy who made Final Fantasy XI, he's nothing now. Was completely just shunned away from the company. God. And they brought in a new producer, but it was so amazing because the new producer came in and he's like, all right, look, I can fix this, but this game engine, all of these systems, all of this is so broken that we have to start from scratch. Is the only way that we can salvage this. And so what they did...
Steve Jobs type.
Yeah, you could say that. So yeah, just like OS 9 into OS 10 and the acquisition of Next Step, as we talked about earlier, that's when Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, first started its production. And what they did in Final Fantasy 1.0 is they had an in-game event where one of the moons in the sky was coming closer and closer to Earth, or to Eorzea, as the evil Garlean Empire was using dark magic to pull it down to create a catastrophe to wipe out the free companies of
So they
Eorzea.
stole the story from Majora's Mask.
They did, yes. But unbeknownst to the Garleans, that there was a dark race of interdimensional beings called the Asians that were truly the Shadow Hand running everything. And from this moon, Dalmond, they released the ancient primal Bahamut, who emerged and destroyed the entire planet. And so everyone logged in. There was a huge final event where everyone's logged into 1.0. The moon split open. Everyone gets logged out. They play a cutscene where everyone sees Bahamut emerge from this moon, massacre everyone, and then just fly all over the planet. And they show all the cities being torn to pieces. The black shroud, the forest behind me, was just like completely erupts into flames. And then it just goes to black. And then about a year and a half to 2 years later, they released A Realm Reborn as a completely new game, which had all the same zones but rebuilt from scratch like a real MMORPG. And the game persists to this day as, I think, the finest example of like the World of Warcraft era of the MMORPG. So in many ways, it really represents kind of the last and also like the best of the old, grindy, open world, virtual worlds, MMORPGs. And there's a great storyline because it's a Final Fantasy game. So my old character from 1.0, I was able to start over again recently. And it's cool because she's a meteor survivor. She has like a special...
Another girl?
Yes, another girl. She was based off of one of my mules from Final Fantasy 11. So yeah, she has a special like tattoo on her back because she played 1.0. My monthly fee is actually $5 less than other players because I was like a 1.0 player. So Square is still like, we're so sorry. Like, please keep playing.
Grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the story.
Long story short.
Yeah, long story long. So yes, I play on the Ultros server. I got a great free company with some of my old message board friends from the early 2000s. If you want to hang out with me and my buds, hit me up. So I'm going to stop talking for like the next 20 minutes to... I'm so sorry, see? But that was a story worth telling. I think that is one of the coolest things.
No, the demise of 1.0 is sick. Yeah,
like, to destroy a game, but have it be part of the fucking story and make people wait, you know? Like, that's just... I'm seriously about to cry thinking about it. Like,
I was just scrolling endlessly through Twitter looking for a tweet about how Star Wars characters brew their coffee that whole time. And I did find it.
That's a great thread. I love that thread.
I have it here if you guys want to look at it, but
yeah,
we also
I can pull that up. Let's go.
It's
we
really funny.
haven't been in browser mode a lot yet. So this is the Omni Web Browser, which I believe is a Unix and Linux cross-platform browser. Also works in NextStep, and some of its earliest forms were in some of these old sort of like workstations. A lot of this UI is actually based... God, no one fucking cares. It's actually based on OpenStep, which is like a licensed version of NextStep that they made for Sun Microsystems.
Is this pre or post Meteor OS?
I'm done. I'm done. I am so done. We're just gonna make this show just me. We're just gonna focus in on me. Get rid of these other faces.
I thought that was the show.
OS.
Very cute. Very cute.
Q, you missed it when we were talking about the OS. James went through a whole like graduation ceremony speech earlier about it.
Yeah, why don't you do it again?
Graduation ceremony speech.
Oh, that's weird.
What are you pulling up? Oh, they're pulling up the next step. Okay.
Yeah.
Page.
Yeah, that's OpenStep there. There are great resources on the internet if you're interested in learning about.
You should pull up the picture of the Evangelion screenshot where they're using.
Oh right. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So in the rebuild of Evangelion, they put a next step workstation in Nerve because 100% if Nerve existed in the 90s, they would totally be using a next step workstation. They were way more popular in Japan than any other country. Let me pull this up here.
Did you guys know that Part 4 like has a release date now? Because I saw that the other day.
I haven't watched any of them.
I've never seen any.
I haven't
seen a
either.
release date for that.
I've been waiting till that's like available to watch, because otherwise I'll watch the first 3 and then forget about it.
So yeah, you can see here that 100%. That is without a doubt next step. You can.
It's so cool.
Yeah, you'll recognize the like the home icon and the folders and the way that the menu bar works. So yeah, pretty fucking sick. Pretty
amazing.
Pretty nice.
Do you think she has the Neo Gaia Fantasy application that we have?
Maybe. Tech.
We'll never know.
Will it generate new tech?
Oh, they...
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Boy.
Poor Ray.
She would though. It's totally accurate. All these are like so accurate.
Sorry, I'm sure like 40 minutes has elapsed since we were talking about coffee, but I couldn't find it.
Vader uses the Black & Decker. That's good.
That's the one you
Padme
did, Darth
would
Vader.
have one of those cool little things. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I was just listening tech the other day that excuse me. I was just listening to that what was that Finn wouldn't use a Keurig. Come on. I don't buy that. But I was just listening to the that Blur song about drugs.
Oh yeah.
And in it, there's that great line where he's caffeine. It's for everyone. It's like, yeah, man, that's the drug everyone takes. That's cool.
What is that song?
Brothers
Brothers and Sisters.
Yeah.
Brothers and Sisters.
Brothers
Hans
and
Method is my
sisters.
favorite.
Ew.
Undiluted 5-gallon jug of cold brew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, this is quite a... Oh, all right. So now we do talk about Japanese culture on this show. For the record, what is happening in this image should be horrifying to anyone who knows even the slightest bit about matcha and powdered green tea.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's like this is enough for like 20 bowls of tea. So yeah, this picture makes me want to vomit.
Oh, well, maybe he's making cups for all those fucking aliens with the blue milk.
Oh yeah,
breasted
the fish nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was all about that shit, by the way. I'm all about episode 8. I think that episode 8 is by far the best of the.
It's the best of the sequel
post-quels,
trilogy
like,
for sure.
For sure.
All
3 prequels are better than episode 8, but episode 8 is better than episode 7 and episode 9.
It's very true.
Wait, what?
You got something to say, Mark?
I was just trying to keep track of what you just said, but
I said
he basically said that The Last Jedi is the best of the sequels, but all of the prequels are better than any of the sequels.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. No, I disagree with that.
I have to agree.
I'll agree with it.
Having rewatched them all recently, the prequels are most certainly better, in my eyes, than any of the sequels.
The prequels,
because they're complete and solid stories that actually start and finish with a consistent arc.
All right, okay, all right. All of that aside, I'm talking about. I'm only talking about. It's like it's a feeling of expansiveness, I guess. It's hard to put my finger on. You know, they talk about game feel or whatever. You know, like the way that like this indescribable sort of intangible sense that you get. Like there's something about like Qui-Gon talking to little Anakin about midichlorians, and it doesn't matter how stupid it is. You feel like I'm gonna be young forever as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And it's this weird...
Well, you know what you would love the most then? Is the fan edit that's about 3 to 5 hours long called Star Wars The Blackened Mantle that combines
like
all
No
3
way.
of the prequels. It's the timeline of episode 3 with flashbacks to 1 and 2. It's amazing.
Anytime fans do anything, it's always worse than the real thing.
I would just prefer like a 9-hour version of episode 1. I would like to see more pod racing. I want to see more.
Yes.
You know,
this has still got pod racing in it.
The pod racing scene should have been 3 hours long.
You're a funny little boy.
the way.
So they were gonna remake episode 1 Pod Racer, and I was so excited. I logged into the Switch eShop the day I had the release date marked on my calendar, and it wasn't there. And I looked it up, and they delayed the game the day before launch, and there's no new release date for it, and I'm a little bit sad.
All I know is that the way that I treat Star Wars, I think, is the healthiest and the smartest way to treat Star Wars, and that is to treat it as if it is history that just occurred, and so
a long time ago.
Yeah, and you can't argue with the plot because you can't be like, oh,
it happened.
Magellan's circumnavigation of the globe is so stupid. And what fucking happened? So if you read a story about it, that's just what happened. You don't get to choose what's cool or not. It's just the story. It's just what happened.
Well, it's fan ownership and fan entitlement, which is just something that is sort of developed over the years. It happened in gaming. I remember when I first played EverQuest long time ago, and I would jump on like the message boards, and people would be like, "You should change this about a class," and I remember thinking like, "Well, who are you to say that?" You know?
Yeah.
But now it's like, but that's the norm, right? It's like, fix this.
I fucking hate it.
Fix this now, and it's like, what are you complaining about, dude? Like, do you have any idea how bad games used to be? It's like they're so sick now.
Man, the biggest complaint on Final Fantasy VII Remake is that the aerial combat is cumbersome.
That's the biggest complaint?
Well, with regards to gameplay, yeah.
Okay.
But the story rules. F off, Mark. But anyway,
the tiny little. Okay, we won't get into that right now.
The aerial combat is not very good, but like I also just don't care. Like Cloud fights with a fucking sword and Tifa fights with her hands. It's not going to be easy to fight things that are flying around the air.
That sword is about 4 feet long and about 3 feet wide, so.
But you still have to go up and fight something. So if it's harder to fight it in the air, then who gives a
fighting
rip?
Things in the air has always sucked ass in like every.
Yeah, it's just harder to do.
Yeah.
So to be like, oh, they should make this easier for me, I just don't buy into that shit. It's just harder. It's just what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. Well, I think because
Monopoly would be better if you could only get this amount of money. This is fucking Monopoly. That's just the way the game is. Whatever.
Well, it's just we're old, you know. We're old people. We are in our 30s, and we came from an era when there, as like young console gamers, there were no patches, But there was something beautiful about glitches and some broken systems and exploits being baked into games. I feel, like all those cute little mischances.
It's not even that. It's the entitlement of the gamers. That's what bothers me. It's that they're always like, oh, you really need to fix this. And it's like, well, you fucking develop it then. I don't know.
So there's,
I don't get into it.
I recently beat Jedi Fallen Order the other day, which is a great game, period. It's a great Star Wars game, and it's a fun, like, Metroidvania style, mixed with, like, kind of, I guess, Dark Souls-like combat. I've never played a Dark Souls game, but I've heard it compared to it. And there's one boss that you encounter named Terran Malicos, and he's a Dark Jedi with 2 sabers. And it is like, it's like they just upped the difficulty curve to the max. Like there's no primer for it or anything. And like having finished the game, like that boss was so much harder than the final boss that it was ridiculous. And yeah, I saw a ton of complaints online about how like he needs to be rebalanced, blah blah blah, whatever. But my workaround was to figure out a certain area of the map where I could stand, where he couldn't get to me, and I just threw my lightsaber at him repeatedly until he died.
And then you did it.
And I won.
Well, I think it
sounds kind of like cheating.
It reminds me.
In a good way.
It reminds me of like Pitchfork in the early aughts, when in the early to like up to like 2010, where their reviews seemed to me to mostly be like not really reviewing the content of an album, but reviewing how close an album was to whatever ideal, what their ideal or vision of music like should be. Because I'll never forget like reading a review for it was like Quasi's American Gong or something, and the review was basically like yeah, some of these songs really fit into what we're into, but like Quasi is so frustrating because then they'll have songs like this that, you know, like that's the frustrating thing about this band is that they'll have these other types of songs that, you know, are counter to our narrative, and some of them that are just really spot on to what we're looking for. You know, and it's like, well, it's not a job interview. You know, like they're fucking artists and they put out an album. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Pitchfork was unfairly in like a weird position where they got to write the canonical narrative for like a decade.
Oh, hey, I see Christ in the
right.
chat. What's up? Good to see you.
Oh, hey, Christ.
Yeah, the chat's blowing up
Hey,
about
John.
Team Fortress 2 right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I played the original.
One.
I played the original Team Fortress Classic on like in the programming lab in high school, and that was really fun. But I remember TF2 came out. It did not.
Me a CDR in 5th grade of the original Team Fortress.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah. Where you could like write the CD key and like use it multiple times.
I gotta get
There's
more coffee real quick, so I'll be right back.
Do you guys remember that when there's like no online server check for CD keys? It was just like put in any CD key even if it's already been used and it just works.
I don't think those days. Yeah.
I don't think I didn't have like a real computer until I was like 24.
Fair enough.
So I never got to experience any of that stuff. But yeah, so
24.
I did play
What is that? You didn't have a computer until you were 24?
I didn't have a real computer. Like we would have like a computer for like a year or two before it would like, you know, fuck up, and we would have like dial-up internet for like a little while, but then my dad would be like, "Oh, we're not gonna have internet for a while." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then like, yeah, and then I just didn't have a computer. Like I like bought like a MacBook Pro when I was like 24 or something like that, and I was like, oh, but it sucked because I had to like learn how to deal with computers very late. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all these operating systems and stuff that James is like, and you guys are building, I'm just like, oh yeah, sure. It reminds me of school.
Sure, guys. Yeah.
But I did play. I played like, I don't know if it was like a Doom thing or it was Chex Quest. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that game.
Because I got the disc in a like a box of Chex.
Yeah. You know, they just did an HD remaster that released like last week.
I just remember taking it over to my friend's house, and I was like, "Dude, can you play this? Because I can't." And then we played it, and we looked up codes on his dial-up internet, and I was
the game's actually pretty solid from what I remember. Like I was way into Doom at the time, and like and Dark Forces, the Star Wars Doom clone. And yeah, I remember I couldn't believe that like my box of fucking cereal came with a first-person shooter. So
yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Did any of you guys have a Game Shark?
I did.
What?
I had any
Game
console.
Shark
I
had Game Genie.
Yeah, I had a Game Genie for NES.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my latest thing has been playing games with cheats. Like, I just played Chrono Trigger like this past week, and I beat the game and did every ending just to see everything and experience every square inch of the game. And like, it's very magical to do that. And I just entered a bunch of cheats in my emulator, and it was incredible.
That's awesome.
But I always wanted a Game Shark when I was younger, and I never knew how to get one. It was like, is this illegal?
I have a really sad story that makes me seem like a huge asshole, and I've been plagued with guilt about this ever since I was a kid.
Are you sure you want to tell this? Or?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm all about airing it. But I had a friend at school who was like kind of annoying, but he had a Game Genie. And so like he would like come over to my house, and I'd be like, bring your Game Genie, and so we would like play games or whatever. And then I got a Game Genie for Christmas, and then he like came over, and I was like, oh, I got a Game Genie for Christmas, so you don't need to come over anymore.
Damn.
I know. And then I felt like I like knew it was wrong, and then like I think like somehow my mom found out or something, and I like felt like a bit like a horrible person. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, then I had to like sympathy invite him over because I didn't really like him that much. But
well, at least you can be honest about it now.
If you're a kid, if you're a kid in a neighborhood with kids, you always end up like having to spend time with people that you don't necessarily like.
It's true.
At least I knew that was like I grew up on a block with there was like 2 other kids my age on my block. There was another kid a block down the street, and then another kid, 2 other kids like the block down the street, and like we'd all hang out. And there was one kid in particular that was just a jerk. You know, he would be the dude where if you were like winning in GoldenEye, he would like get up and like rip the cartridge out of the system.
Oh my
like
God.
that
I'm not even trying. I'm not even trying anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
Like yeah, anytime we'd play anything remotely competitive, he like could not handle losing at all. And like eventually we started like trying to like make our own plans and like not have to invite him, but he would like ride his bike around the block and like actively find us, and then like just like inject himself into the situation. So
yeah, childhood was.
I could relate.
Childhood was full of like real. Like sometimes I remember shit like that. I'm like, oh my God, I was like a monster. Like I was a monster. Like I was a literal monster. I was so fucking mean to that person. And why? Because other people were mean to me, you know, like I got picked on for being a weirdo, but then I would like pass that on and like, you know, I don't know.
I remember one time I was working with James at a restaurant, and James was washing dishes like in the back, and there was like a little corridor between the dish area and like the up front kitchen area or whatever, and I had to go back. I was like in the corridor, and James was not aware that I was there. And I just like can hear him washing dishes, and all of a sudden I hear him just go, and I was like, I went back. I was like, what? You all right? And he was just like, I just remembered something I did that was like really shitty and embarrassing, like from like 8th grade. I was like, wow. It was just amazing because that sound would have happened had I not been there. It's like the tree falling in the woods.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to get when you listen to me when I don't know anyone else is around. Well, and you know, like this Twitter right now, you'll see that it's in light mode. So this is something that I've had everything in dark mode since they've released it in macOS 10.13 or 10.14 or whatever. But recently, in a recent update, they made it so you can, just like the desktop is dynamic, right? So my picture of Catalina Island, depending on what time of day it is, it shows it at a different time of day. So now the whole OS is in light mode until the sun goes down, and then it's supposed to turn into dark mode. But apparently, because
what happened?
Because Chrome is in light mode, it's making Twitter in light mode, but it should have changed by now, shouldn't it? I don't know.
You guys want the truth? I don't use dark mode for anything. I use light mode for everything.
It's nice for when you're like in a pro app like Premiere or Logic or something, because it just like you're staring at it for so long.
I don't even notice stuff like that ever.
I just light mode. I don't know.
I've been like personally attacked for that before. Like people like see my phone, they're like, "What are you doing with that on light mode?" And I'm like, "What? I didn't know there was an alternative." You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a brief time where you had to like enter a code in Facebook Messenger to get dark mode initiated. You get to send a moon to somebody, and it was before they shipped the update. It was
I kind of like that. I kind of like it. I like it being a secret.
Yeah, it was like spreading just organically.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it was definitely a thing. And then eventually they just
dark
changed
mode is for people who suck.
Wow.
Now we're getting into personal attacks.
There's definitely something to be said for dark mode, right? I mean, it's I hate white on black. I can't stand that. This is
I can see if you were like spending prolonged, periods of time on something, how you would want to reduce the overall light coming at your eyeballs. I totally get that.
Yeah, no, it looks good. I just for some reason feel like if I'm in dark mode, I'm not experiencing it the way that it was intended or something.
No, I get that. But so now that they've added the auto switching in OS 10, it's just another way that I can kind of stay on the cycles, with I love the cycle of the sun sets, the sun rises, and
every day, dude, every day.
Tech, do you realize the sun doesn't go down? It's just an illusion.
Hey, speaking of which, speaking of which, the Flaming Lips have a new song, and I put it on the Neo Gaia Fantasy playlist on Spotify.
Can you link that
Segue.
in the chat, and then also I'll bring it up.
Oh yeah,
We had
Spotify's
some
closed
really
for
good
me.
picks this week. I loved every single one of them.
Yeah, me too. I listened last night. James, are you pulling it up? Because I closed my Spotify, and it takes like 10 minutes to open on desktop.
Oh, look at those Evangelion scissors.
Here we go.
All right, so guys, wait, hold on. Are we okay with this cookie policy?
I don't like cookies.
Yeah, I'm more of a donut man myself.
Oh, boy.
So why don't we go ahead and can we talk about our picks here a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, yes, we can.
Yeah, I put a Pointer Sisters song on there because it seems relevant to the time, and also one of the Pointer Sisters died, within the past couple days.
So Tech, you have you're really into that whole era and scene like in a very big way, and have as long as I've known you, really.
Yeah, but I'm not super knowledgeable. I don't know. I just like. Well, I think James, you're talking about. I think you're talking about like more like the malt shop stuff.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
And Pointer Sisters sound like a malt shop group, but they're more like almost like funk, almost. They're like late '60s, early '70s, or whatever. But yes, I do love like malt shop music, which is what I just call anything made in the late '50s and early '60s. That's pretty much all that existed besides country. But anyway, yeah, that song's on there, and it's sick. And then I put a U.S. Girls song on there called $4 American that also sounds like it's from that era.
That band.
Yeah, U.S. Girls rules.
I haven't listened to that release, though. Is that newer?
It's a full new album. I didn't like it as much as the last one, but the first track on it, $4 American, is really good. So I put that on there, and I don't know, some other crap. Oh, yeah, I put the Flaming Lips. New Flaming Lips song on there that's really good.
Oh,
Flowers
nice.
of 6. Yeah.
I really loved that U.S. Girls album, Half Free. That one's amazing.
I've only heard the In a Poem Unlimited.
Half Free has a full-on vaporwave track on there with vocals. It's great. It's called Navy and Cream. You should check it out.
Damn, all right.
Or I'll put it on next week's playlist.
Hey, yeah.
Well, my picks this week were some of my strongest yet, I feel. So there was the Jae-ho Hwang track, who was the Korean artist on Chinabot that we played with at Force Limit at the Kato Massacre on the last Neo Gaia turn.
That song is heavy.
Yeah, so he is...
Hey, James, real quick, can you post the playlist in the chat, please?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
The performance was heavy. It was amazing.
Yeah, so fans of Neo Gaia Legend, the movie, will recall there is some footage of him performing live at Force Limit that is incredibly intense. It was like a shamanistic, life-changing experience.
Yeah, I remember the clip. Yeah,
it's like electroacoustic ambient mixed with industrial sound. So really, really cool. Sound design is just
heavy and
way
hard.
vibed out.
And his visuals were really intense too. So he was running the whole thing on like a launch pad, right? Like one of the old ones that only had like 2 colors. But he had all of his visual clips, linked to his. He
was doing it in Ableton.
Everything
was
was
a gigantic set in Ableton with video and audio.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Here, I'm gonna pop this in. There it is.
Everyone always forgets that you can do video with Ableton.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out that track. That whole album. It was one of my favorite from last year. He is truly incredible, and he was a super sweet, nice guy. We got a selfie with him, and he was really nice despite his music sounding like it just might be. Did any of you see those VHS movies, those horror movies? Mark, surely you did. VHS and VHS 2.
They're called VHS.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen those. I have not seen those.
I
should check them out.
They're kind of bad, but the second one had some decent vignettes in them. And one of them was it was like a Southeast Asian cult that was trying to like summon a demon. But it was just shot as though like someone was doing a documentary on this cult, but then the cult ended up like being right. and while they're filming this documentary, like the demon like arises out of it. That's kind of what it felt like a demon had arisen and was like tearing us limb from limb. I think that was VHS 2. I just watched all of them a couple years ago for whatever reason. I also discovered that Sonic Sound Team has a Spotify artist account.
That's awesome.
And so yeah,
that must be relatively new.
Yeah, I was not aware of this.
I've tried searching like that Sega stuff before.
But
I mean, I know the Final Fantasy stuff is like new to Spotify too. So I think slowly but surely,
video games are getting on there.
Yeah, people are aware now that there's an audience.
So yeah, you can listen to like Panzer Dragoon OST, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Orta, the full Knights, like
finally,
the complete, Knights and the Knights for Wii, the Yakuza soundtracks. Skies of Arcadia's up there. Fucking Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. So I just wanted to raise awareness for that, and I put up one of my favorite tracks, which is Twinkle Cart from Twilight Park.
That song is great.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite memories of Electronica 1 was actually the after party, the DJ set that I did, because there were like 1,000 people in that room. And everyone was turned to the max, right? Like it was after the first Electronicon, everyone was so into it. And I remember like dropping like the Chow Garden music, and just everyone. It was. I felt like an EDM producer, just like with the drop, you know. But it's like dun 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 dun. It's just like, oh my god, this is so amazing. Like to feel that like I can like force all of these people to listen to Sonic Adventure OST right now and see them.
That's kind of how it feels when we play the Animal Crossing song live when Destiny Shroud plays it. It's like making all these people listen to Animal Crossing music.
Yeah, 2 p.m. Live and Love. And then what was my other track? Love Timeline by Monari Wakita. And this is from her album that came out right at the end of last year called Right Here. Monari Wakita was in Especia, which was kind of an idol group, but they were really into like 90s and 80s fashion and stuff, and they were erroneously paraded as some kind of like vaporwave idol group, but they really were just into that. They were more like city pop leaning than anything else, but she has gone on to have this incredible solo career as like a neo city pop post idol kind of artist. Her voice is completely fucking ridiculously powerful and amazing, and
that's great.
And the music on her albums, like, it straight sounds like Sonic Team music. Like it sounds like Sega Saturn soundtracks. So like Nights into Dreams, but with this incredible like city pop esque voice singing on top of it. So yeah, so
it's like FM synthesis, New Jack Swing. Basically.
Yeah, yes, that is literally exactly what it is. Yeah. So Kevin, why don't we segue that into your picks for the week?
Let's see. I had that song by The City there. That's like Carole King's band before she started her solo career. Amazing record, amazing pop songs, and that song in particular is important because we went to. Well, it was before you guys had landed the last Neo Gaia tour. I stayed there for a month, and I had a good, I think, a week and a half just by myself alone. And I went to like the dirtiest, dustiest, messiest record store in Kobe, and they were just blasting this song on repeat. Like it, I was like, did they know that this is on repeat? And then I kind of go up to the counter and like peek over, and then the clerk at the counter is wearing headphones, so he's clearly like, listening to something
into
else.
It. Yeah, yeah. Oh, letting it go.
just letting this go, and yeah, like we returned. I had to show you guys that shop, so we came back to Kobe before our show at Otohotoba, and it was still playing, and that was a solid maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks later.
But
I think that's just their shtick. That record stuff.
It's something that happens a lot in Japan. Is that a shop will have just one song that, like, I was in a crepe shop in.
I mean, technically, that's what all that they have all that like just like music that repeats in their whatever they call it, background music or whatever.
Yeah.
It
BGM.
just seemed funny because it was like the song kind of has a message, you know. It's like I wasn't born to follow, and then like you look around the store and it's just a complete fucking mess, and there's like piles of records stacked vertically, and like I don't know, like if the clerk was just like so jaded at that point that he like just did not care about.
Actually,
like,
that was the store. That store, I tried to ask for a bag for the record I bought there, and he was just digging through dusty records and garbage for like 10 minutes straight.
It was the one that was like down the way from that, where there was just like piles like stacked vertically, like on top of the racks.
I have pictures. I'm gonna pull it up.
I saw pictures of that.
It was worse than the other one.
Oh yeah,
my God.
for sure. Yeah, no, the other one was like the dude almost took a spill on like a pile of 45s trying to get you that bag.
Yeah, he tried to go up the stairs, but they were stacked full of CDs.
That whole album, that Carole King, The City album, is incredible. The opening track, Snow Queen, is perfect. There's just so many jams. Like the pop songwriting is just out of control. Yeah, there's our shop.
Yeah.
I do not like this.
It
Funny.
was the kind of... I mean, it was like some kind of Harry Potter like universe. like you can't even believe it. Like literally stacked to this. Like, what information are on these stickies over here?
Real quick, Farplane, yes, like Shenmue background music is accurate. Yes,
Yeah,
like you go
100%.
You go into like a 7-Eleven and it's just like a looping. It'll be like a MIDI version of a Monkees song. I know they played I'm a Believer.
Like 2 or 3 songs that cycle. I mean, I'm sure they change them out like seasonally maybe, but then like Hard Off does not. Hard Off, there's like 2 songs.
It's the same
Enhance.
song, yeah.
And
Enhance.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, those are all.
Hello.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in a crepe shop in Karuizawa, and there was literally 45 seconds of music. It was a tiny little room. There was a picture of the chef on a little A-frame outside of it, and then I went in. That was the guy who was actually he was the one making the crepes, and then. 45 seconds of music was playing.
We're gonna get flagged for this, James.
Oh yeah, sorry. This very, very like 4 pixels
I could see
of
4
nudity.
pixels.
But yeah, they also had a shelf of pornography there. But yeah, that place was insane. So getting back to the matter at hand.
So there's a YY Music Resort track on there. They're like one of my favorite Local Visions groups. I believe it's a couple. And it's just like the best, like chillest bossa nova inspired, kind of like Brazilian pop inspired. I don't even know if it's electronic or if they're like playing real instruments over electronic stuff, or if they're sampling beats or what.
I know,
it's just,
it's
amazing.
I missed out on this tape, but man, oh man, look at that with that red leader and the Local Visions logo.
Tape is gone immediately. I gifted this one to several people, including you guys. I think I sent you guys I mean, I know it's free, but like I felt compelled to pay more for this one. It's just so good. I really wanted to play with them last year, but they're a little more remote. I don't know if they could, if it was feasible for them to make it to any of our shows. I also put a Lonnie Liston Smith song that I really like on Visions of a New World. You might know it as it's got a very specific vaporwave sample on there. I won't say it out loud, but if you listen to the album, I'm sure you will find it very quickly. Lonnie Liston Smith is amazing. It's some of my favorite like summertime night, like easy listening jazz. It's just incredible stuff.
And at least for us here in EST, it is a summertime night. More or less.
It's totally a summer night.
I'm sweating. I'm showing it in my shirt a little bit. Sorry, it's a little gross.
I had to put my window unit back in today. We had a nice, calm, cool week, and I took my window unit out, and now it's back in because it's humid.
I have not put in my air conditioning yet. I'm seeing how long I can go. This is one of the longest I have ever gone. It's always a game every year. How long can I go before I cave?
Little Liam is probably talking about the trader staircase that we took that selfie in, James.
Oh, yeah.
There is like a ton of shops like that have like, you know,
tits
are
everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about like those shopping districts in Tokyo is that you'll be in a place and it'll be like, oh cool, they have like video game soundtracks, and then you go to the next floor and it's like, oh cool, they have like figurines, and then there's a ice cream truck going by.
Nice.
Oh wow.
And then you keep, the higher you go, the looter it gets, and then finally, if you're not careful, you might just end up on a staircase full of tits, and if you push through that and you get to the top, God knows what you're gonna find at the top.
It's the yayoi floor.
Yeah, and then you're like, I don't feel like I should be here. And there are a lot of there's just a couple guys in there. There's like kind of no shame because they're in their kind of spot, just like looking at the PC soft, that they want to purchase or whatever. And you're like, I'm just gonna turn around and go look at the Final Fantasy XI CDs. Yes, just a bunch of sweaty otakus at the top. Quentin says, "Imagine the smell."
There is the yayoi floor though too, so they're balanced out.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Mark? What do you got on this?
What's that?
What songs did you pick, Mark?
My turn.
Yeah.
I actually have a kind of a weird one on here that I stumbled upon in my my
Good
radar.
Smell. Yes.
Was
good smell in the chat.
There's a track, Yoko Shimomura produced
nice.
track. I guess she's a legendary composer. Super Mario RPG, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 15, as many of you I'm sure know.
Mm-hmm.
But she produced a track with a vocalist, and it seems to be like it's great. It's beautiful. I just love listening to it. It seems to be like
hashtag's part of the name. That's cool.
Corporate video for a new form of payment from JP Bank. I actually have a link here. I'm gonna just grab it. And it's like it has a whole narrative to it and a whole website dedicated to kind of like the heart and soul of like being at a crossroads in your life and needing to find a new way to pay for stuff. I don't want to purport to know what this is all about fully, but like I kind of discovered the music first and then discovered that afterwards that it was for a new form of payment, and it seems to have high production value.
This is a person at an impasse right here. There are 2 roads laying in front of them, possibly 3.
Do you have Google Translate? Because it's translated for me, and there's definitely some like heartwarming, touching text in there. But I think it's like an Apple Pay commercial. I'm not 100% sure.
It's always the beginning. Hashtag time turning finger. Okay, so that's the name of the song with the hashtag in front of it.
I don't want. Yeah, and again, we can just sort of check this out. But
yeah, I'm
found
playing this with audio real quick, so they'll be able to hear the audio out there. Just briefly.
Yoko Shimomura is such a legend.
The music is really touching, and it's kind of like just came up on my radar, and I really enjoyed it, so I put it on this list. This is a nice looking video. If this video is about something that I got it wrong, and it's not about anything to do with what I said, I apologize.
Beat. But it's got kind of a trappy beat.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, sorry, you guys. Here, I can route it. 1 sec.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, definitely check it out on the playlist, I guess. And you don't need the context if you don't want it. Just listen to the song.
Yeah, I made that the last song on the mix. Well, for this week of 12 songs, because it just seems like a good.
There's also an instrumental. There's an instrumental version and a lyrical version, so you can listen to both. And the other tracks that I have, unless we're still
just be careful listening.
One of the other tracks that I have is it's also a track from Woodman, and it's like who's of New Masterpiece fame, which is New Masterpiece is run by Electronica, who is one of the many people who helped us put together the Neo Gaia Fantasy Tour.
I think he was in the chat last week, actually.
He was in the chat. Yeah, shout out to Electronica. And I just sort of been like, every time we played a show there, the artists that the label owners brought to play with us were amazing, and I've been on a quest of just listening to kind of everything going into the back catalog, and I really enjoyed some of the tracks. They're definitely odd, and for this particular album, there's sort of some interesting.
On Spotify,
it's really dubby.
On Spotify, I think it's called Woodman Man.
Yeah, right, there's another man on Spotify.
Yeah, there's a two-man.
I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm pretty sure it's Woodman. But
feel free to use our playlist to be a portal to all of these wonderful artists on Spotify.
Yeah. So that's my contributions.
Yeah, the actress track too.
I also added an actress track, which I actually added the shortest actress track that I could find. I saw actress perform live in 2017 in Calgary, Alberta. I was selected to play at a show opening for DJ PayPal at a music festival that was co-curated by Flying Lotus, which was a huge honor at that time.
Jesus Christ,
Mark.
I
got to open
That's
for
what I'm
DJ
saying.
PayPal.
Mark is so pro, man. He's way more pro than any of us.
I don't know about that.
Humble
No, it's true. Like we're gonna be driving around and see a billboard and be like, oh yeah, it's just this thing I did.
But that billboard will have you on it, and it will be somewhere near George Clanton's house. But
I flew to Japan to meet up with Platinum Games staff.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Talking about the doing a Kickstarter for bringing up this Wii U game, The Wonderful 101.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Mark is
a
truly humble man. Look, he can't even stand that we're talking about him. That's how humble he is. He's literally the opposite of me.
Nice.
I'm like, please.
That's not true.
I'm just kidding.
I saw actress in 2017 at that show. I wasn't trying to humble brag, but I saw them live, and it was mind-bending experience. The room was instantly sweating the second he started, and it was just honestly mesmerizing music. So
that song is wild.
Yeah. That's
I got into that album in particular, kind of shooting off of the future garage scene when I was really into Burial and Faulty DL and people on the Hyperdub label, Scuba and others. And yeah, I remember that album kind of got lumped into that scene, but it was so different from anything else, and it kind of opened my eyes to more drone stuff, more ambient stuff, and definitely was one of the albums that got me more into production. So yeah, I highly recommend that actress album, Splash. It's awesome.
Oh crap! Oh, I just remembered I was going to try to put the actual time.
I know. I wondered if you were going to do that.
Oh, I forgot. I think I might be able to here in real time. 1 second here.
So Yoko Shimomura, these are just some of the games that she's soundtracked. She has done Super Mario RPG, Kingdom Hearts, Parasite Eve, Legend of Mana, Heroes of Mana, Kingdom Hearts 2. The list is just insane.
Yeah. She definitely, for me, of course, Nobuo Uematsu and Yasunori Mitsuda are amazing, but Yoko Shimomura is I think she might be the best. I don't know.
Legend of Mana is so good. That one gets swept under the rug with, Seiken Densetsu 3 or Trials of Mana, as it's called now. And
right.
Yeah, it's that should have been Legend of Mana 4, but then they made Seiken Densetsu 4, which is the PS2 one, which is what I can't remember what that one was called. Something of Mana.
I got the collection of Mana on the Switch.
Oh, nice.
I have not played it, but apparently Final Fantasy Adventure is a part of that. The Game Boy game.
That's the original Seiken Densetsu.
Oh, I see.
They retitled that Final Fantasy Adventure to sell more copies in the U.S. But that is Seiken Densetsu. Secret of Mana is Seiken Densetsu 2.
I see. Okay, got it.
Trials of Mana is 3, and I can't remember what the PS2 one's called. That one didn't scratch the itch for me like the other ones did.
Oh, this reminds me, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, you have something you're proud of that you should share. You recently bought a video game that allowed you to complete an entire checklist.
Oh, God. So for some reason, before I went to sleep a couple weeks ago, I remembered that the one SquareSoft US PS1 release that I didn't have is Parasite Eve 2. And from that second on, it like ate away at me because
like a parasite.
I'm a freak. I have some sort of I think it's called collector's disease, where I just can't, like once I can't stop. Yeah, but yeah,
So
I mean,
it's
eBay
that phenomenon that we
and,
rely on for our livelihoods with our fans.
Yeah, games. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but games are at an all-time high now. They're the highest price they have ever been. If you were thinking about selling your video game collection, now is the time to do it because of COVID. I think people can't get any of this stuff locally. It's only available online, and like I think a lot of small mom and pop game stores and swap meets and all that stuff is just kind of dissolved. So. I got kind of worried because I started looking at pricecharting.com, which is like, keeps track of finished eBay auctions and stuff. And like Parasite Eve 2, along with most other games, is just going up and up and up. And it's crazy.
What the hell is Cubivore?
It's one of my favorite games. Yeah, I own this shit.
$100 last summer.
Yeah, $400.
$120. And like now everybody wants.
Damn, I'm about to fucking sell it. Holy shit.
You have it?
Yeah.
James, you should sell it and just use that SD adapter I got you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The game the exact same way.
Yeah, I should tell the story real quick. It not the whole thing, but long story short, I was visiting I always say that. Always say long story short and then go on for like 10 fucking minutes. I really hate myself.
Steve Jobs' entire graduation speech coming up.
So long story short, 5,000 years ago.
That's good comedic timing.
Yeah, so no, I was visiting my parents in Dayton. There was a family emergency, and we had to drive to Chicago out of the blue. It was really awful, but it was actually an opportunity for me to visit Kevin at his place in real time, and he had mentioned this in I think in a previous episode that I had a dream just a week or two before that I had texted him about, that Kevin, I had a dream. I was in your house and you said, James, if there's any game, what game do you want to play? I have them all. What is the one game you want to play? And I said, I want to play Jurassic Park on Sega CD. And that was my dream. And then I went to Chicago unexpectedly and I stayed at Kevin's, and it was beautiful because I hadn't seen him since we cried in Japan together at the Turnstile. And so I was seeing him for the first time since November, and he had burnt a copy of Jurassic Park on Sega CD, and it was just like this wonderful, beautiful thing. And while I'm there, he's like, oh, hey, here, take this. I'm like, what's this? He's like, this is everything that you need to mod your GameCube to play, to have an SD adapter, so you can just play any GameCube game that you want. And he just gave it to me. I'm like, oh, that's what happens when you go to Kevin's
You need
house.
one more piece, and it's going to be hard because they're only made in China, and I can't find anybody in the States selling it. But you need a GameCube memory card to SD adapter. They're like $3. They're really cheap. You just have to wait for the shipping. But yeah, there's this kind of new development in retro game tech going on that I follow. I'm pretty deep into that scene. And somebody made an adapter for the totally unused Service Port 2 on the bottom of your GameCube. There's like two little doors that you open, and the smaller one is SP2. So it's called the SD to SP2, and it plugs in, and then you can plug a micro SD in there and load GameCube ISOs and just boot it straight up from the SD. And it doesn't look like your system has been modified in any way because it's just in a Service Port. So, but in order to boot that, you need to use a Action Replay disk to boot Swiss, which is homebrew software for GameCube. I happen to have an extra Action Replay disk. I use a PAL GameCube, so I have my US one. I gave that to James. All you need is the GameCube to SD memory card adapter to put Swiss on, because the Action Replay cannot boot from the Service Port 2. Can only boot from a memory card.
Yeah, the Switch is $500.
Yeah, the Switch is insanely inflated right now because when quarantine happened, I wanted my mom to get a Switch so we could play Animal Crossing together because she loves gardening and I thought that she might enjoy it and it'd be cute. But then it's like, yeah, she can't can't find them anywhere under $400,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, VR headsets, streaming gear like capture cards and webcams have gone up. I was like, oh man, that'd be sweet to buy a Valve Index so I can play the new Half-Life game. And I looked at that and like those are going for like $1,500 now. I was like, what the hell?
Holy God, I'm about to sell everything.
Like Oculus Quest is like going for like $500 or $600, even though the MSRP is $400. Yeah, it's a crazy lawless time we live in.
I sold my first thing on eBay today.
Yeah, Mark sold a record for an inflated price too. So
maybe that's not something I should be proud of or advertising.
I made my eBay account in 1998 whenever it first opened,
nice.
And I used to buy things on eBay, and then I'd have to go to the convenience store down the street.
Cashier's check?
Yeah, to get a money order.
Me too.
To put it in an envelope and like lick and put in a mailbox and wait for them to receive payment, and then. But to me, it was like magic because it was fucking the late '90s, and I was a child, and I could get rare old games. Like it was really.
I bought a Wonder Swan in high school with a money order. Like I had my parents drive me to the grocery store, and I spent my hard-earned allowance dollars for a cashier's check and ordered one. And
wow, what retro games were you guys getting in the '90s? Those are the retro games. They were new games at that time.
This was in like 2005, I think.
Oh, okay.
I was in high school, like a senior in high school.
Yeah, in the late 90s, I don't remember what exactly I was buying. Once I was in high school, it was definitely, like, I bought a Virtual Boy in, like, the early 2000s. That was my first Virtual Boy. And once I brought it into one of our final exams to play, like, after the exam. And I finished, and I opened my backpack and just put it on my desk.
Oh, my God.
And just, like, started playing, and my teacher came up and was like, what the hell are you doing? What is that? And I'm like, this is the Virtual Boy, man. Like, it's cool. Check it out.
The best, like, playing games in school was when the Game Boy Advance SP came out. Because I could put my backpack on my desk and, like, put the SP, like this, and then just, like, play Final Fantasy Tactics Advance with, like, 2 buttons, like reaching inside to, like, do moves and stuff and, be, like, grinding in class.
Yeah, I 100% played the original Pokemon on a gray brick, old school Game Boy, and I just keep it on my knee, like, on my thigh, basically, and during class, just, like, my hand... See, look, I'm, like, doing it right now, and you can kind of barely tell, right? Kind of?
My first handheld device was a Nintendo DS Lite.
Nice.
It's a good system. I was like, again, 23 or something like that when I got it. I guess prior to when I owned a computer and a Nintendo DS, I just existed in a black void, just isolated forever.
Now you got
bring up the Japanese cover for Jack Bros, because that is like the biggest discrepancy of cover art I have ever seen. Jack Bros is like based on the Jack Frost character from the Shin Megami Tensei Persona series, which had never debuted in the US at all. So like they just redrew the art to make them all like creepy, scary monster guys.
Wow. Yeah, that's the difference between the 90s in Japan and the 90s in America. Right there.
So funny.
Just a few...
Shout out to Christ in the chat there. I feel like he has a really amazing collection of stuff.
The Virtual Boy stuff is insane right now. I mean, even I don't even know how I got such a good deal on my Virtual Boy. It was like it was a gamble, I guess, because they said that it might or might not work, and it did work. But I barely paid over $120 for mine, boxed with like games and stuff, and like now. Boxed Virtual Boys, like the US models go for like $250, $300. So I lucked out big time. I got mine like right before COVID.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I have intentions to sell my possessions to aid in my quest to move to Japan. But things like my Virtual Boy and Cubivore, despite them being like things that I could liquidate for like a lot of cash, it's like I really, really am having trouble.
Yeah,
let it go.
It's so liberating.
I know.
I sold everything. It's wonderful.
I sold Cubivore before though, and then I rebought it for like twice what I paid for it, like 3 years later.
Now you can sell it again.
I did that with Suikoden 2. I remember I bought that. Like, I traded in a bunch of games to my local game store and bought it. It was $120 at the time. And, like, I traded in a bunch of stuff for it. And then I ended up selling it to, like, buy a MacBook or whatever. And then I saw it at a game swap meet, like, 2 or 3 years ago. And I rebought it for $100 cash. Just, like, saw it, plopped it down on the table, didn't even think about it. And now I'm like,
I fucking bought 2 of them, threw one away.
But I'm kind of glad because like now I looked at eBay auctions the other day and it's going for like 200. So.
Well, do you guys ever buy lots
Soundfly.
of things? Like, if you buy a lot, then you can take what you want from it. I've never done that, but it seems like the way to do things.
Farplane says, Tech Honors, no material possessions, makes coffee at home.
Wow.
There's a great on cinema, at the cinema little skit where Tim Heidecker's character, which is like conservative Tim Heidecker, he's talking about like he's just moved to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And Greg's like, what, do they even have, like, Starbucks out there, you know? And Tim's like, well, you know, I've kind of been getting into the whole, like, homebrew coffee scene. Because I do like homebrewing coffee. For those of you who don't know, Cubivore is this amazing, it was originally developed for the Nintendo 64, possibly DD, I'm not sure, but it didn't see the light of day until the GameCube. And there's some weird, like, subversive, like, anti-institutionalized, like, all the bosses are, like, the heads of major, like, social institutions. So it's, like, the Boy Scout leader boss and, like, the...
Wow.
So there's something going on there. But this game kind of gets credit for sort of, like, being the first to have that sort of Minecraft aesthetic where everything is made out of blocks. Like, I don't know if you saw... Like in the intro, like the clouds or these like cubes with flat textures on them, you know. The game is actually pretty fun to play. It has one of those weird like your character evolves systems where like you eat stuff and then there are different evolutionary trees that you go through, and every time you evolve, you get another plank. So when you first started the game, you only have this one little plank,
right.
And then you beat the first boss, and then you get 2, and then 3, and it becomes more and more sort of complicated. Fun game. I wouldn't pay $500 to play it, but I don't know. It's a cute, fun little thing there. Yeah,
It was never released on 64 disk drive though.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it only came out on GameCube.
It was one of those like late cycle games where they're like, oh, we might as well just port it to the next generation, you know?
Just one pressing, and then that was it. And now that's all that exists on Earth. And so it's getting harder and harder to find.
You know what's crazy is like those original Yakuza games blew up when I can't remember what the really, really popular one was that kind of kicked off the Yakuza series in the West, but those PS2 games started going up in value, and shoot, who makes those? I think Sega makes them.
Yeah, they're Sega games.
Sega responded by just repressing the PS2 games, like last year.
Really,
like, they just were like, screw it, like let's just make more. And then like you could, up until, I don't know if it was like a limited pressing or what, but like last year you could totally just buy a brand new sealed copy of like Yakuza or Yakuza 2 for, you know, they were charging full retail for them as $50, but like it's still like that's really cool of Sega to do that. You know?
Yeah, no kidding.
We could learn a lesson as people that make vaporwave tapes, right? You know?
Yeah, just repress it.
Just repress it, you know, but make it a different color.
Yeah, totally.
Trash Ghost. I'm sorry. Just Trash Ghost is in the chat. Just wanted to give a shout out to Trash Ghost. If you do, I don't know if you were watching the whole time. If you still have your copy of Cubivore, you can sell it on eBay for like $500 right now. Just FYI, that's what we just discovered. But please continue, Kevin.
I got. I had been looking for a copy. Like, all right, rewind back to high school. I was looking for a copy of Final Fantasy Chronicles. I had gotten Anthology. I had beaten 5 and 6. And at that point, I had never played Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy IV, so I was looking for a copy, and it was right after the Square Enix merger, and I went on their website, and you could still buy new PS1 games at that time, and I bought a copy of it, and I got it, and it's like a black label, non-greatest hits.
Wow.
Final Fantasy Chronicles that has the Square Enix logo on it. And it's really weird. I've never seen another one. It might be like a rare pressing.
Yeah, I got the greatest hits ones seriously 2 years ago. I bought because they still make those PSX Chronicles, and I was just like, Square was having one of their sales. I got an email,
Black Friday sale, right?
Yeah, I'll buy this for $5. Hell yeah,
Yeah, the Square Black Friday sales are crazy. I was just telling Mark, he was like, "What is?" He was watching a speed run of Lightning Returns, and I was laughing because I bought that game on Square's, I think 2017 or 2016 Black Friday sale for like $2. It was like $2 or $3 for a brand new sealed copy. Like I got Front Mission 4 for $1.99. Like Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, 13-2. A bunch of the PSP games like Tactics Ogre and
I bought
Crisis Core, your favorite tech.
Yes.
I got the remaster for 10.
I remember
13, getting 10 games for $40.
13-2, and Lightning Returns. I bought all three of those thinking that they would play on my PS4 like a fucking dumbass. Yeah, so now I just have 3 PS3 games that I can't play.
They work on PS Vita though, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't even.
No. I think they don't. Oh, okay. A lot of those PS3 ports work on PS Vita. Yeah.
Like, if there's a special version of it, but like you can't just like play PS3 games on the Vita.
Damn, guys, it's almost 10 o'clock. We got 8 minutes. That just I had this whole plan where I was gonna talk about Canada, and we didn't even get there. I think we might have to save that.
We didn't talk about Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII, the mobile game.
Yeah,
with the phenomenal soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we can play it out on that because that sort of leads right into this. So, we're all Final Fantasy fans. None bigger than Tech, I'd say, among us. And that is the one. That's Tech's golden goose, or his golden egg. What he will.
My golden goose. Before Crisis.
Before Crisis.
Japanese phone game that was predated iPhones, and was a prequel of sorts to Final Fantasy VII. And I always wanted to play it. I always wanted them to port it. I always wanted something, and the closest that it's ever come to having an English translation was somebody remade it in RPG Maker. I don't know, some version of it.
It's about the Turks.
But it's about the Turks. If you've ever played Final Fantasy VII, you actually play as the Turks, and Avalanche, who are the protagonists in the main game, are the bad guys in this game.
I just can't imagine that this is that good.
No, there's absolutely no way it's that good. I read the plot on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. It was episodic. Anyway,
I watched an hour-long playthrough of it last night, and it was agony for me.
Mark, you are so. Mark is the sleeper. He's the coolest among us. I'm telling you.
Not based on that metric.
Right.
I wish I could get that time back, honestly.
So they released the PSP version? Is that what I'm seeing, or is this fan made?
No, that's
fan. Okay, all right.
Don't believe the lies. Yeah, there's a lot of bootleg stuff out there for this for some reason.
But anyway, we were
dying
about
for it.
Yeah, we were talking about this game last night in our group text, and for some reason Mark was like, "I want to know what the soundtrack is like," and so we just decided to play it. We found a YouTube playlist of all the songs on it, and it was just shockingly inadequate. Just very bad music.
I thought they sounded like the electronic parts of Linkin Park songs, where they'll have the really nice yeah, exactly.
And then it like comes in with this fucking shitty like
the cleanest
guitar.
piano sounds over
I'm gonna
distortion.
So I'm gonna pull up the OST and I'm gonna rewire it so you guys can hear it. We might go a little bit over, but I think it's worth us.
I mean, just playing a couple. There's one though that's just like it seriously sounds like Evanescence karaoke. It's like it's so bad.
The whole soundtrack is very phoned in. bearing in mind it is a cell phone game.
Oh, all right.
That's an e-slapper.
And Mark comes back, crashing back to Earth.
Just flew too close to the sun.
Just like Meteor or whatever. That hasn't happened in this game yet, but...
So here, I'm gonna set my my audio to loopback audio, so I don't think you'll be able to hear me, but I'm gonna play the OST a little bit, and then you guys can react to this in real time. So let me just...
again, I don't want to hear it again.
Can you hear us? That way we can tell you what song to play?
Yeah.
All
right, so
there's a lot of moving parts here.
We
got to listen to the worst music ever.
Can you still hear me?
The Wikipedia page.
It's a good way to close out.
I'll quote the Wikipedia page.
Oh yeah. Please read this Wikipedia quote.
Chris, also known as Dark Cloud of Square Enix Music Online, said the album is, quote, probably one of the worst I've heard in a very long time, and recommended it only for listeners who like, quote, loud music without much creativity.
Wow.
That's that's like the first paragraph of the Wikipedia.
Why do they cite him as
Dark Cloud?
I don't know. There's a lot of questions for sure.
Is he just like a forum dude or what?
yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Like,
I'm not sure. I like that he was brought onto the Wikipedia article and it hasn't been contested.
Okay. The theme of the Turks is just more like the Turks theme from Final Fantasy VII with slight variations. But if you go to like...
Yeah, maybe like an iPhone app or something.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The hint of a melody in there.
It's a little chill.
That's like shitty spy music.
I kind of like.
Yeah, wait, go.
Yeah, that was not a good example. Uses the Metallica St. Anger snare.
Yeah, I think it's there.
You were spot on about the Linkin Park thing.
Yeah, it's like that in the end it doesn't even matter song, like the intro to that song, you know? It's got the piano over the filtered beat.
Okay, yeah, this is like the masterpiece. Like you can tell they cared way more on this. But like, listen to how incompetent this song is. Sounds like fucking Everlast.
God, I love you so much, Tech.
Oh,
That's good.
but then what is that?
This is the instrumental version.
Yeah. Okay. Wait.
Look
Okay,
for
so
a Theme of Elf Angel version.
Yeah.
Theme of Elf Angel.
Oh, Angel?
Further down, yeah. It's like... Yeah. Here we go.
The stars are clear. Sometimes I wonder where I belong. Please take me back when that stars fall. I light and shine. I try to keep myself alive. Please don't predict my future. Be strong enough to live your life.
Isn't it like what is the song even doing?
Back, keep your eyes wide open and see.
Wait for it.
aside all doubts. Me to the sky, no time to rest.
Yeah, this composition is
gotta hit the
aggressively
chorus.
incompetent.
Future, and need to go on and never run away from the truth. Me in the sky, I need to go on and on.
Wait. Okay.
So, for anybody curious, this entire OST was released alongside the music to the Last Order animation as well. And
I
here's
haven't
the
seen that
entire.
yet.
It's actually the Last Order is very cool animation.
That's the
And-
anime one, right?
Yeah, and what I could like glean is that the music for this cell phone game called Before Crisis was kind of just like the leftover B-sides that they couldn't use in the anime. So
Wait. Okay. One last thing. Wait, James, can you play the theme of Elf Demon
God
or
damn.
Devil?
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
Oh wait, if you already undid everything, don't worry about it because it's just like it's the same song, but it's like got a beat.
it's the devil version.
These
This
videos
is like the
are
close-
Sounds like
unbelievable as
DDS.
well.
Sounds like DDS.
The sky is falling, the stars are clear. Sometimes I wonder where I belong. Please take me back when that stars fall.
It's like when you get one of those like Boss multi-effects pedals, like the very first preset distortion tone.
Please don't predict my future.
Just skip ahead.
Be strong enough to live your life. Don't look back, keep your eyes wide open and see. Cast aside all doubts. Me to the sky, no time to rest. Into your dream and future, and need to go on.
Marcus loves the chat.
All right. Ah, Jesus Christ.
You're scaring Mark.
I needed to give my ears a break for a second there.
So bad.
All right,
That's
so
good.
I'm gonna go ahead and call it with that.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
If we, I would like to. What's this man? So as we were talking about hairlines last week and going bald and that period of denial, this man is in that zone.
Oh, it's not bad. He's not that bad.
That hair does not
This
belong
is a-
there. I'm telling you. Trust me,
This
I know.
man right here.
This man right here.
Whew.
Anyway, thank you
Hi.
everyone for tuning in. Sorry we went a little bit over, but I think that this was one point here that definitely was worth exploring. So yeah, we'll see you guys same time, same place, same channel. 8 p.m. EST. That's 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on the 100% Electronica Twitch and YouTube. We didn't really plug our donations this week. It didn't really feel appropriate, but you know that's always going to be something that's available, and we'll talk more about that some other day. But it just wasn't.
Also, I kind of forgot to mention, but I'm officially streaming games weekly on the 100% Twitch channel on
Yeah.
Friday nights at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I was late an hour last time because I, of course, had some setup hiccups, but I'm going to try not to be late anymore.
And it was
So-
really fun. And I gotta say, last night, super late at night, I'm working on this user interface in Photoshop. I'm like, oh god, I just need something on in the background. I was like, You know, I turned off the audio to equip some of Equip's stream while I was doing some other shit while I was watching it. Why don't I just listen to it? I just threw it on. I listened to you play those games. I got my work done. It was great.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I love bringing you into my life, bringing you into my room. So Friday Night Gaming with Equip, do not miss it. Same channel. So anyway, we love you all. Thank you so much. And I smell a kernel panic.